starting from feet together. We'll go ahead and put our hands on hips here. To get to the attention stance, you're just going to open your feet until they're 60 degrees apart. So from here to here, 60 degrees. If you go off the center line, 30 degrees off center to either foot. This is different from what's called Musubi Dutch, which is at 90 degrees. That's slightly more open. So our attention stance is at 60 degrees or 30 degrees off center. Okay, from feet together stance, we're going to go into our ready stance. Putting our hands on our hips, we're going to see that we go from 90 degrees this time. So unlike the attention stance, we're going to go all the way to 90 degrees that we called Musubi Dutch. Then we're going to go out until our feet are parallel to one another. Then we're going to rotate again until we're 30 degrees off center or 60 degree total splay. And this right here is your ready stance. Now, if I go all the way out to 90 degrees, then that right there is an Uchi Hachiji Dutch. All right, walking stance. If we start with our feet together, but this time we're going to turn to 45 degrees with our feet together, put our hands on our hips. We're going to open up to 90 degrees, and then from there, we're going to go to feet parallel. Then just rotate forward. You're now in a walking stance. Now, walking stance doesn't always have to be exactly like this. You adjust it until you're comfortable. Most any of these stances, you're going to adjust until you're comfortable in them. This just gets you into the ballpark. These measurements get you in the ballpark. Then you just sit there and fit within the ballpark. So in other words, when I'm watching your performance of the forms, I'm not looking for, exactly this many toe widths in between this part here. No, get into the ballpark. The stance will look right if you make it comfortable to your body. And the reason why we can't have a standard for everybody that says exactly this many toe widths in between is because everyone has different limb proportions. We're not all exactly the same. So again, you start here at the 45, open up to your Musubi Dutch, go to feet parallel, and then just rotate on your heels to your forward. This gets you into a rough, basic walking stance. Okay, the next stance is a low cat stance, wide. So it's a low cat stance and it's a wide cat stance. Cat stance is usually the heels are like right next to you, so you can slide one foot or one heel right past the other, where they're basically touching. This one's going to be wider than that. How we get into this stance here, we start at our 45, we go to our Musubi Dutch, we go to parallel, then we rotate forward into our walking stance. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply sit my weight back like such. I lower the weight onto this leg here so that 90% of the weight is on the rear foot. The lead foot has no more than 10% on it. And that's all I do. A regular cat would be in line like this, but we're not using that at this point in time in the white crane system. It's just a walking stance that you sit back in. Okay, the next stance is your wide cat stance. So notice I said a low, wide cat stance, then we have a wide cat stance. There's also a high, wide cat stance. So in the classical Okinawan martial arts, all of our stances have low, standard height, and then high height. So to get into the standard wide cat, starting again just like your 45, going to your Musubi Dutch, then going to feet parallel, rotating forward. Now what you're going to do is you're going to sink back just like you did into the low wide cat. Then you're just going to lift the heel up off the ground with the ball of the foot remaining on the ground. And so this is your wide cat stance right here. Remember, normal cat stance would be like this, closing up the groin more so that the heel can just slide right past the foot. Wide cat stance is just basically a walking stance that you set back in and you raise the heel up off the